And as it happens, pretty much everyone is inevitably coming down on the side of culture. But that's the wrong way to look at it. A successful organisation needs both. They're not two opposing influences in an organisation's success. You cannot ignore the company's culture when setting your strategy. And the business will have to adapt and change its culture in order to grow and develop. Also, irrespective of the strength of the culture, people need strong leadership. And leadership starts with having a strategy. Therefore, the strategy, vision, mission statement, and values must all be aligned. If they're not, the business is likely to fail. And then when you look at it from a startup's point of view, there's going to be huge focus on developing that startup's culture, which will have to be in line with and support the strategy that they're following. So an example of this is when I took over a business in the West Midlands a few years ago. And I've spoken about this a few times on the podcast. What happened was the business had been working for about 10 years with the same 5 or 6 customers. And over that period, they developed long-term joint ventures with their customers. In other words, the way they worked with those customers was using partnering techniques and collaboration, problem solving together, that kind of stuff. But the market had changed, those customers had disappeared, and the new set of customers weren't used to working on joint ventures or working in partnership. They were more used to a traditional main contractor, subcontractor relationship, which meant that the projects were much more run based on the contracts and the processes as opposed to through collaboration and partnering. Now, the problem I had was the culture of the business matched that of the joint ventures. In other words, those people would not know how to work and behave within a more rigid, strict subcontract environment. In fact, they'd be eaten for breakfast by the main contractors if I try to move them from their current method of working into that new environment. So what I needed to do was relook at the strategy and match it up with the culture. So what we did was we sold as our competitive advantage the fact that we partnered and collaborated with our clients. We didn't bid or contract under that more traditional subcontract route. What we did was we insisted that we were going to work in collaboration.